The freezing wind cut through the streets of New York City. People rushed past without noticing the old homeless man sitting alone on a corner bench. He had only $1 left in the world. $1. A single crumpled bill that was supposed to buy his dinner. But within the next few minutes, he would give that dollar away to a complete stranger. What happened afterward shocked an entire city. And years later, people still talked about the homeless man whose kindness changed hundreds of lives forever. Michael Carter pulled his worn coat tighter around his body. The winter cold felt unbearable. Snowflakes drifted through the air as evening settled over Manhattan. For 3 years, Michael had been homeless. Most people never looked at him. Some avoided eye contact. Others crossed the street when they saw him. To them, he was invisible. But Michael hadn't always lived this way. 10 years earlier, he owned a successful construction company. He had a beautiful wife named Sarah, a son named Ethan, and a comfortable home in Brooklyn. Life seemed perfect. Then everything changed. A devastating economic downturn destroyed his business. Projects disappeared. Bills piled up. Debt grew larger every month. The stress damaged his marriage. Sarah eventually left. A year later, Michael lost his home. Then tragedy struck again. His son Ethan died in a car accident while attending college. The loss shattered Michael completely. He stopped caring about life, stopped fighting, stopped believing. Within months, he found himself living on the streets. Years passed. Every day looked the same. Wake up, search for food, find a warm place, survive. Nothing less. Yet despite everything he had lost, one thing remained: his heart. Michael never became bitter. He still believed kindness mattered, even when nobody cared, even when he had nothing. That evening, Michael checked his pocket. $1. His last dollar. A nearby store sold hot coffee for exactly $1. It wasn't much, but it would help him survive the freezing night. He stood up and slowly walked toward the store. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten properly all day. The smell of fresh coffee drifted through the air. He could almost taste the warmth. Then he noticed something. A little girl stood outside the store. She couldn't have been older than 8. Tears streamed down her face. Her hands trembled from the cold. Michael approached carefully. "Are you okay?" he asked. The girl looked up. Her eyes were red from crying. "My mom is sick," she whispered. Michael frowned. "Where is she?" The girl pointed toward an old car parked nearby. Inside sat a woman, leaning against the steering wheel. She looked pale and exhausted. Michael walked closer. The woman opened her eyes weakly. "I need medicine," she said quietly. "I lost my wallet." Her voice cracked. "I only need $1 more." Michael froze. $1, the exact amount in his pocket. The dollar meant coffee, warmth, comfort, survival. Without it, the night would become much harder. For a moment, he stared at the crumpled bill. Then he smiled. Without hesitation, he handed it to her. "Take it." The woman's eyes widened. "But this is your money." Michael nodded. "You need it more." Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you." The little girl hugged him tightly. Michael smiled. Then he turned and walked away, hungry, cold, and completely broke. That night became one of the coldest nights of the year. Michael slept beneath a bridge. The freezing air seeped through his thin blanket. He barely slept. But strangely, he felt peaceful. Helping someone had reminded him of who he used to be. A man with purpose, a man with compassion, a man who cared. The next morning, he woke to the sound of a car horn. A black SUV stood nearby. A well-dressed man stepped out. "Are you Michael Carter?" Michael looked confused. "Yes." The man smiled. "Someone wants to meet you." 30 minutes later, Michael sat inside one of the most luxurious offices he had ever seen. Across the desk sat a woman, the same woman from the previous night. But now she looked completely different. Healthy, confident, professional. Michael stared in disbelief. The woman smiled. "My name is Emily Richardson." Michael frowned. The name sounded familiar. Then realization hit him. Emily Richardson, the billionaire CEO, whose technology company was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Michael's jaw dropped. Emily laughed softly. "I know." Michael sat speechless. Emily continued. "My daughter told me what happened." She paused. "You gave us your last dollar." Michael shrugged. "It wasn't a big deal." Emily shook her head. "It was everything." Emily explained what had happened. The previous night, she had been driving home after visiting a hospital. Her purse had been stolen earlier that day. Her phone battery died. She felt weak due to a medical condition. For the first time in years, she experienced helplessness. Hundreds of people ignored her. Only one person stopped. A homeless man with nothing. Emily smiled. "You helped us when nobody else would." Michael looked down. "I just did what anyone should do." Emily leaned forward. "No," she said firmly. "You did what very few people would do." Emily asked about his life. Michael shared everything. The business, his family, his son, his losses, his years on the streets. Emily listened quietly. At times tears filled her eyes. When he finished, silence filled the room. Then Emily said something unexpected. "I want to offer you a job." Michael blinked. "A job?" Emily nodded. "I checked your background." She smiled. "You successfully managed a construction company for years." Michael couldn't believe it. "I haven't worked in years." "I don't care," Emily replied. "I care about character." A week later, Michael started working for Emily's company. At first he handled small projects, then larger ones. His experience returned quickly. Employees respected him. Within a year, he became one of the company's most valued leaders. For the first time in years, Michael rented an apartment, bought new clothes, built a stable life. But the most remarkable part was still ahead. One afternoon, Michael stood outside a homeless shelter. Memories flooded back. He remembered the hunger, the loneliness, the hopelessness. And he made a decision. He would never forget where he came from. That evening, he met Emily. "I want to start something." Emily smiled. "What is it?" Michael replied. "A foundation." "A foundation," he nodded. "To help homeless people rebuild their lives." Emily immediately agreed. "I'll help." Together they launched a charity called Second Chance Foundation. The mission was simple. Provide food, provide shelter, provide job training, provide hope. At first, they helped 10 people, then 50, then hundreds. The organization grew rapidly. News stations began covering their work. Volunteers joined. Businesses donated. Communities supported them. Lives changed every day. One former homeless veteran found employment. A struggling mother secured housing. Young adults received education. Families reunited. Dreams returned. All because one man refused to stop caring. 3 years later, Michael stood on a stage before thousands of people. The city was honoring him for his humanitarian work. The audience applauded loudly. Many people wiped away tears. A reporter asked him a question. "What inspired all this?" Michael smiled. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a single dollar bill. The crowd looked confused. Michael held it up. "This." The room became silent. "This reminds me that kindness doesn't require wealth." He paused. "It requires heart." The audience erupted into applause. After the ceremony, a young boy approached him. "Mr. Parter?" Michael smiled. "Yes." The boy held out a dollar bill. "I want to help someone too." Michael felt tears fill his eyes. He knelt beside him. "That's wonderful." The boy smiled. "My dad says kindness spreads." Michael nodded. "Your dad is right." Years passed. The Second Chance Foundation expanded across multiple states. Thousands of people received help. Thousands more found hope. And every new employee learned the same story. The story of a homeless man, a cold winter night, a little girl in tears, and a single dollar. Many called it luck. Others called it destiny. But Michael knew the truth. The dollar wasn't what changed his life. The choice did. The choice to be kind when it was difficult. The choice to care when nobody else cared. The choice to give when he had almost nothing. One evening, Michael visited the same street corner where everything began. The city lights sparkled around him. Cars passed. People hurried by, just like before. He sat on the old bench and smiled. A young homeless man sat nearby. The man looked defeated, lost, hopeless. Michael recognized the expression immediately, because he once wore it himself. Michael walked over. "Mind if I sit here?" The young man shrugged. Michael sat down. They talked for hours. Before leaving, Michael handed him a business card. On it was the address of the Second Chance Foundation. "We can help." The young man's eyes filled with hope. "Really?" As he walked away, he looked up at the night sky. The stars shined brightly above the city, and for the first time in many years, he thought about Ethan, his son. Michael smiled softly. "I hope you're proud of me," he said. The wind carried through the streets, but it no longer felt cold, because Michael had discovered something powerful. Kindness never disappears. It travels, from one person to another, from one heart to another, creating ripples that can change lives forever. All it takes is $1, one choice, one act of kindness, to transform an entire world.